Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the live grade 7 critical English. We're going on to context clues today. And with us, we have two lovely young ladies. You already know them. We have Alicia and we have Tiana. So we're going to start the lesson with them. But before we do that, I wanted to share with you girls something that I did. So it's a piece of drawing and random stuff. Just tell me what you see going on in the painting.
I see cats.
You see cats. So I probably have cats, right? What else do you see, Alicia? Flowers, definitely. So there's some flowers there. There's some cats. There are two cats, actually. Two are dogs, because I have two dogs and two cats. And this is some just random green stuff. You may not be able to see this on the live because green don't really show properly. But there's just some random green stuff with red stuff here. And I was just in a painting mood. So I know that our participants with us also like painting and also like drawing. So maybe the next class you can walk with your painting and show it to us. But why I show this to you and why our topic is context clues is because not everything that is shown to you or everything that is said to you, people mean just that. Sometimes they may say something but mean something else. Have you had experiences like that before? Yeah, like maybe your friend says something and you thought she meant this, but then she meant something else. And sometimes we have to think deeper. What does she really mean, or what does he really mean? Or what does our parent want to tell us but is not saying it outright? Or sometimes we do that to our parents too, right? And when they don't understand what we're trying to say, sometimes we get mad. So context clues is going to help us to figure out what exactly is happening in a situation which we may not completely understand. Or there may be words that are used in a sentence, a paragraph, a story you're reading, and you have no idea what it means because it's a new word. But context clues means that you're going to figure out what that word means by looking at the rest of the sentences around it or the words around it and figure it out from there, right? Now, there are different types of ways we can look at context clues, and we have some at the back of us here. So the first one is the definition or the explanation clues. So in this one here, the definition is right there. Sometimes a word's or phrase's meaning is explained immediately after its use. So just after it's used, the word there is explained. For example, haberdashery. Do you know what that word means? It's probably an old word. People don't really use it anymore. Haberdashery, right? It's an oldish word. So this is where the explanation is given now, the definition of it. Haberdashery, which is a store that sells men's clothing, is becoming more common today. So this here gives us a definition of the word haberdashery. So according to this here, it's basically a store that sells men's clothing, and that's the American definition of the word. If you check the dictionary, there's also a British definition for this word, and it means a store that sells like little knickknacks like pins and thread and stuff like that, buttons and so forth. So the second one that we have here is restatement or synonym clues. Sometimes a hard word or phrase is said in a simple way. Example, Lou was sent today haberdashery. Remember, we already know what that word means, right? But if you didn't, this could give you a clue. Lou was sent to the haberdashery to find a new suit. He needed to wear one for his uncle's wedding. So if you didn't know what haberdashery means, what the word meant, and you look at the sentence here, what's a clue in that sentence? Lou was sent today something to find a new suit. So this here is a place where maybe suits are sold, right? Good. He needed to wear one for his uncle's wedding. So you know, sometimes we go shoe shopping and we go to the shoe store to find a nice shoe. So haberdashery, according to this sentence here, is where males or men would go to find suits. And in this case, he's going to find his suit for what? His uncle's wedding. So the third one there is contrast or antonym clues. So let's look at it. Let's see what it says here. Sometimes a word or phrase is clarified by the presentation of the opposite meaning somewhere close to its use. Look for signal words when applying context clues. So they're going to say what it isn't, so we understand what it is. For example, if we're looking at, let's say a musical instrument, a piano, for instance, and we want to say a piano is not like a guitar, which has strings. So we know that the piano doesn't have strings. So something like that. Example, again, we have Lou again. Lou wanted to go to the haberdashery, that's her word again, but Anne wanted to shop at the boutique. So we know haberdashery is one thing, and the opposite in this case here is a boutique. The signal word but tells the reader that an opposite thought is going to be stated. Usually when you go to a boutique, what kind of things do they sell? Clothes. What clothing for who specifically? Women's clothing, and maybe a nice handbag or shoes even, right? So while a boutique sells women's stuff, a haberdashery would sell men's stuff, male stuff, right? So do you see how the opposite was used here? So we have how many examples so far? The first one was the definition. It tells us what the word is or the phrase is. The second one was giving us a synonym or a similar thing of the word. And this here is looking at the opposite or the antonym, right? So it's an antonym clue. For example, we can talk about hair, for instance. Like my hair is straight, but somebody else's hair is curly. So we're talking about two opposite things there, right? So let's look at the other one there. In inference or general context clues. I couldn't see it from that angle I was at. So it says sometimes a word or phrase is not immediately clarified within the same sentence. Relationships which are not directly apparent are inferred or implied. So another word for inferred is to imply. You're saying it straight out, but you're saying it, right? The reader must look for clues within, before, and after the sentence in which the word is used. What is the word we're looking at? Haberdashery. Let's see how it's used in this sentence here. The haberdashery was Lou's favorite place. He loved shopping for nice suits. The people who worked there were so kind and helpful. So haberdashery, the first sentence doesn't tell us anything about this place, right? But look at the second sentence. He loved shopping for nice suits. So from this sentence here, we can pick up that a haberdashery is a place where you can get suits. And Lou, we're assuming he's a guy, he loves to shop there, right? So that's the second one. What is this one called? Inference or general context clues. Then you have this one here, punctuation. So again, we're looking for a clue, and the clue is embedded in the punctuation that is used in this sentence. Readers can use clues of punctuation and type style to infer meaning, such as quotation marks. Do you know the uplifted commas? You want to do it with your hands for me? Quotation marks. Yeah. Dashes, parentheses, that's brackets basically, and italics. So you kind of make the word look slant, so it's not straight. Examples. So more than one example we're going to be given here. Tom's father was a haberdasher, and we have a comma there, or men's shopkeeper in the story. So you have a comma here and you have a comma there. So this here, men's shopkeeper, is giving us details about who or what a haberdasher is. Notice the two commas there. So we could say there that Tiana, the girl, what's the story about again? She owned her own restaurant, right? In the cartoon, right? Good. So Tiana, in brackets, the princess with her own restaurant, comma, is very beautiful. So we're talking about Tiana and we're defining what she is. We're saying what she is. Or we can say the girl who wears her hair in a, what do you call this? A muff? Puff? Puff? Oh, wears her hair in a puff. Which girl am I talking about? The girl who wears her hair in a puff. So that's giving me more information about the girl. So same here, right? So we have the two commas there. Let's look at the second one. Tom's father was a haberdasher. Same thing again. But instead of the commas here, what are used? Brackets, right? The brackets are used in the story. So we know that the brackets, the part in the bracket is referring to haberdasher. It's giving us more information. Think we got these two sorted? So when the two commas are used directly after the noun in question, the noun there is haberdasher, then same with the brackets there, right? Let's look at the third one. In this story, Tom's father was a haberdasher, or men's shopkeeper. What do we have here? That's a, well, a hyphen would connect two words. Are we connecting two words here? It's a different thought we're introducing, right? So this would be a dash. Haberdasher, dash, or men's shopkeeper. So there we know that a haberdasher is a men's shopkeeper. Let's look at the last one. Tom's father was a haberdasher. What do we have there now? Quotation marks. He had a clothing store for men. So basically, you see how different punctuation marks are used to basically give us more information about what this word or what this phrase means, right? Easy? So remind me, for this last one here, I think this last one is the most complicated one, right? When the punctuation mark is used, no? Easy? Which one is the easiest? The comma, the brackets, the dash, or the quotation marks? Which one? Quotation is the easiest to figure out. Okay. So once they say that, then they give a definition for what the word means. All right, good. So we're doing great so far. So how many options do we have here? 5, right? There are 5 different ways to figure out what is going on in a sentence. So let's look at the examples that I pulled up. I think we need to go back. I need to click on, there's a link there. So I included the link there. Okay. So we can always go back. Let's give it some time to load. While it's loading, we can talk about it. So if you're looking at us from the live, you're gonna see a little black and white thing on your screen on your left-hand side, I believe. And if you take your phone, you can take your phone and open your camera and look at that image. It's going to take you to a site where all the documents that I'm using for this class will be found. And when you get there, you basically will see what we're seeing on screen here. So if it's not too clear here, you can always go and check that on your own. And the examples will be coming up in a while. So give me a minute. Okay, there is it. Let me exit the, good. So the first one there, we have a few examples. We're going to see how much time we have to see how many we can get through. We have about 17 minutes remaining. So let's see how many of these we can complete. So the first one, since it's 2 of us, we're going to take turns. So we're going to go with Alicia first, and then we're going to go to Tiana. So if she does number 1, you will be doing number 2. Good. Go ahead. Alicia, read the sentence for us, please.
The beaver gnawed on the branch before dragging it into the pond.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'm going to highlight the word that she said, gnawed. So the G is silent, so we're not pronouncing the G. Excellent job. Your teacher did a wonderful job and you learned excellently. Good. So the beaver gnawed on the branch before dragging it into the pond. So the word we're looking at is gnawed. So if you did not, do you know what this word means? No. Do you know what this word means? No. Very good. This is exactly what we want. We don't want you to know what the word means. So since we don't know what the word means, let's look at the sentence to see what other clues we were given in the sentence to figure out what it is really saying. The beaver, so do we know what a beaver is? Yeah. It's an animal. We don't have it in Guyana, so it's outside of Guyana. But we'll figure that part later. Something on the branch before dragging it into the pond. What could it possibly be doing to the branch? Look at our options. We have sat. Does it seem like the beaver would sit on the branch before dragging it into the pond? That doesn't seem likely, right? What about chewed? Possible. All right, let's look at the last one. Pushed. Pushed the branch before dragging it into the pond. Does that make sense? So which one are we going to go with?
Chewed.
Chewed. The beaver chewed on the branch before dragging it into the pond. So if we were living in North America, you would probably know more about the beaver. But I'm kind of glad that we don't know about this animal, so you don't have that prerequisite knowledge. However, I'm going to tell you a fact about beavers. They have big teeth in front here, which is used for chewing into branches, and they would make dams into streams. And those dams are like their, let's just call it their resting place, their house or whatever. So it makes sense for a beaver to chew on the branches of a tree or something, a fallen tree, or even growing trees, alive and well, to gnaw them or to chew them so that they can put those pieces together, right? That makes complete sense now? Yes, he's not chewing it because he wants to eat it for food. He's chewing it because he's building something with it. Let's look at the second one. Tiana, your turn.
The delightful aroma of food cooking in the kitchen made my mouth water.
Do we know this word underlined?
Kind of.
Kind of. You know the word. Very good. It's a very popular word. But what exactly does it mean? Look at the rest of the sentence, and what do you think it means before we look at the options? Aroma. The delightful aroma of food cooking in the kitchen made my mouth water. So you're probably not in the kitchen when it's cooking. But what will tell you that food is cooking in the kitchen? You smell it. So aroma must have to do with a scent, a smell. So let's see our options now. We have smell, color, wealth. Which one are we going to choose? Smell. Because so even though we're not sure what this word means, when we look at the rest of the sentence, it only makes sense if we use the word smell. Because aroma, or fragrance, that can even be an aroma, right? Now, aroma is usually a positive smell word. When you hear of aroma, you're thinking of a pleasant scent or a pleasant smell. But there's some other words that also talk about smell, but they can be very negative. We're not going to go into those today, but just want to point out that it's a positive word. Let's look at number 3 now. Alicia, over to you.
The late students have a plethora of excuses.
So the late students always had a plethora of excuses. Do we know what our underlined word means? No, it's a new word, right? It's a big word. And all persons don't know that word. But if you're joining us today, you're going to learn what that word means. So the late students, do you sometimes have students who are late to your class? Yeah? And do they usually have a lot or no excuses? A lot of excuses. They're always innovative, right? Always coming up. My dog eat my homework. Well, what are some other excuses they have? Traffic. What else?
Didn't wake up early.
They wake up late, good. Or mommy didn't wake them up, right? Or something happened to them, right? There's always some big fancy story. Sometimes they're true and sometimes they're, not true. So the late students always had a plethora of excuses. So which one of these would you choose as your answer?
Excessive number.
This is Alicia's. Excessive number. So the late students always had an excessive number of excuses. They always got. So even if the word a lot was there, we could have used that as well, right? A lot of excuses. Shortage, none, no. So let's look at this number 4. But before we go to number 4, Tiana, I'm going to take it up a bit so you can see it a bit clearer. There you go, number 4. Can you read, please?
The mood was somber at the funeral of the former Prime Minister.
Good. Do we know what that word means? No. Excellent. It's good that we don't know what the word means so we can figure it out together, right? So look at the rest of the sentence. What is the event? What is happening? It's
the Prime Minister's funeral.
Good. So somebody is dead, right? So how do people usually feel when someone dies? Sad, and a lot of negative emotions too, right? So let's look at our options there. We have remove, call, explain. Which one will you go with?
No, number 4.
Oh, sorry, yeah, number 4. Hungry, serious, shyly. Shyly. If you're shy, you don't really want to say much or talk much, right? You sure that's the best option?
Serious.
All right, you need some help? Alicia, do you want to help her? She has 2 in mind. She has serious in mind and she has shyly in mind. Which one would you think is the best option to go with at the funeral? Shyly. Interesting. So usually shy, think of the word shy. You guys are becoming teenagers in a few months or so, right? You've seen lots of romantic movies as well, right? Usually, who acts shy when they're in love? People, right? Sometimes it's the male, they're shy to approach the female, or the female don't want to approach the male, etc., right? So, is that shy mood, is that the same mood you take to the funeral? No. And Or another example could be people at maybe at school assembly and they don't want to talk because they're shy, they're kind of scared. Do you go to a funeral feeling scared, shy? No? What about serious? Let's look at that a bit. So it's a somber occasion. Do people usually, let's just say usually, is the funeral usually a fun occasion to be at? Are people laughing and celebrating or whatnot? Usually crying, right? Or if they're not crying, they have on a very serious face. So in this one, the mood, we're not talking about one or two persons, right? We're talking about the mood of everyone. The mood was serious at the funeral of the former prime minister because everybody has to be, they can't, there's some funerals that people celebrate the person's life, but generally speaking, funerals are like serious occasions. Even if you're not crying, you go there and you kind of keep a straight face because you don't want people to feel as if you're laughing at them or something, right? All right. Number 5, Alicia, right? Alicia's turn.
When they didn't understand the instruction, the students asked the teacher to clarify.
I think that's an easy one, Alicia. Do you know the word clarify?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but let's just pretend you don't know what the word means. Look at the rest of the sentence. What other information do we have?
He didn't understand the instruction, so he asked the teacher.
So usually when you don't understand something in class, usually what does the teacher do? Explain it to you in a simpler version, right? In a simpler way. So our answer is right there, right? Explain them. So another word that we can use for clarify is explain. And so this is working out somewhat to be like a synonym thing, right? You're looking for the word that best suits it, but usually the word that suits it is a synonym to what we already have there. So you're learning about context clues, but you're also learning about synonyms and word usage as well. So let's go to number 6. Tiana, your turn, Dave.
The scared rock climber balanced precariously on the edge of the cliff.
Good. So that's a big word, precariously. Do you know what it means?
No.
It's a big one too, right? But let's look at the rest of the sentence. The information that we have is that the person is scared and they are balancing something on the edge of the cliff. So if you're at the edge of a cliff, are you going to be, and you're already scared, which of the words best suits that situation?
Dangerous.
Dangerously. On the edge of the cliff. Because if you're graceful, maybe if you're in the Olympics and you can do all these crazy gymnastic poses, maybe you can do it gracefully, right? But if you're scared, you're at the top there. If you fall, that's the end of you, right? So yeah, the best word in this case here is to choose is dangerously. Good. And nothing in the sentence tells us he's hopeful, right? So it can't be hopeful either. So let's look at number 7. I think it is Alicia's turn. Go ahead, Alicia.
The frigid water made them stay shut.
The frigid water. Do we know what the word frigid means? Kind of. All right. What does it sound like, frigid? Something in your kitchen it sounds like, right? What? Which device in your kitchen does it sound like? Like a microwave? The wares? Fragile. We're going to come back to that. So let's look at what we're talking about. The water made somebody's teeth chatter. When your teeth are like making that chattering sound in your mouth, have you ever had that feeling before? Usually, what's your body temperature? You're cold, right? Your teeth would only chatter if you're cold. So then frigid must mean cold. And the word I was trying to get you to think of earlier is your fridge in your kitchen. Fridge, frigid. I know the whole word is refrigerator, right? But we usually call it the fridge. All right, let's go to number 8. This is Tiana's turn. I think we're doing excellent so far. Tiana.
Instead of a grimace, Levon had a big smile across his face.
Good. Now this one here is the opposite, right? Remember we talked about context clues and they giving you opposite information. So instead of a grimace, Levon had a big smile across his face. So that means that if you're smiling, it would be the opposite of a
Frown.
good. So what is our what's our answer?
Frown.
Good. No, B, right? Frown. So if you're frowning, it's not smiling. It's like it's an upside down smile, right? Or some people even make up their face and their forehead get all crinkled up, right? Good. So that's number 8, and we did a great job there. Give yourselves a round of applause. So that same site that I got the information from, you can also go there and get some other information and see if you can do another one of these and test yourself, because this test here, you can click on the answer and it automatically grades it for you. So you don't have to call Miss Monique and say, Miss, did I get it right? The computer will say if you got it right or if you got it wrong. And if you got it wrong, you probably have the chance to do it a second time. So maybe next week you can tell me if you tried one of these and how it went for you. How does that sound? Good. So let's review what we did today. We looked at what? What's our topic for today? Context clues. And we look at 5 different ways we can look for these clues, right? Let's start from the bottom. What's the last clue we looked at? Punctuation marks can give us a hint, right? And sometimes it's the double commas used after the definition, or the brackets, or the dash, or the quotation marks. So we can use any one of those, but it's not just the use of those, it's how it is used, right? What's the 4th one that we discussed? Let's go back to our list.
Inference clues.
Inference. Yeah, I think I lost the page we were at. Yeah. We have to look at inferencing. Yes, inferencing. The other one was antonyms, looking for antonyms or the opposite. The other one was synonym or similar. And the first one was a definition or an explanation for the word. I think we did a brilliant job today. You guys think so too? So next week, we're going to be looking at a comprehension passage. I'm not sure as yet if it will be a poem or if it will be a story. What do you guys want, a poem or a story next week? You want a poem? What do you want? A poem too. Oh, nice, brilliant. I love poems. I was trying to find one that is fun for you guys and not boring, because I don't want to be the boring teacher and choose a boring poem for you. So I'm going to try to find a fun one, and we can probably see how best we can get through that lesson. So we're going to answer questions based on the poem using context clues when we meet again on Thursday. So we're basically picking up from what we did last week, what you did with Mr. Mika with the passage. So you were introduced to the passage, now you're learning about context clues. So when we do another comprehension thing, then you have a better idea of how to answer those questions. So all of this is going according to plan. You guys are doing great and everything is doing fine. Fantastic. So our next lesson is the math lesson for grade 7 with Miss Najima, and I am going to be putting you guys off to her in a few minutes. So thank you all for joining us today. Have a great, today's Tuesday, right? Have a great Tuesday, or if you're looking at the recording, have a great rest of the evening. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Critical Math, grade 7, grade 6 to 7. Our topic today will be addition and subtraction of whole numbers. And with us we have Alicia and Tiana. My name is Najuma Greenwich, and I'll be taking you through our session today. So let's begin. As it relates to addition and subtraction of whole numbers, we'll go through the base 10 number system. All right, let's begin. All right. Now, on the desk in front of you here, you have we have a set of base 10 blocks. For us to, for example, if we have two sets of numbers are to be added. So, for example, Sally has 268 marbles. John has 157 marbles. How many marbles do they have altogether? Right? So it's a simple addition question. And so you can think of the equation for the problem. So you can put the two numbers together, right? 268 plus 157. So for us to add, we have to line up the values in terms of what we call place value, right? Now to add numbers, for example, like 268 and 157, the system that is normally used or we use on an everyday basis is called a decimal system, right? So you've heard of the decimal system before? Right. Now another name for the decimal system is the denary system, right? So the base 10 system is known as a decimal system or the denary system. Now as it relates to the decimal system, it means you have 10 digits, right? So in the decimal system, you will have 10 digits. Those 10 digits are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 9. Any number that you got larger than 9, well, then you have to do some conversion. All right? So 0 to 9, those numbers are what we refer to as the decimal system or the base 10 system. Right? So the base 10 system has 10 digits. Now, the thing about the decimal system or the base 10 system is that each number or each digit has a particular value. Right? So you would have learned that some time ago. So we have the ones, the tens, and we have the hundreds, and you can have more, right? What would come after 100? 1,000. Very good. All right? So for us to express 268 in terms of 100 tens and ones, we're going to use our blocks that we have here. So the blue, this was the green packet. All right. So the green packet, these are our ones. All right. So these are our ones. This will represent 1 unit. This was the yellow. One of them. This one. All right. And here we have 10. So if you notice, one of these line up here, 10 of these I line up along here. So you get a bar with 10. All right. Pass the red one. How many you think would be in this red one? Remember we spoke, right, remember we spoke about factors? So you have 10 around, 10 here and 10 there. So 100. So each one of these will represent a place value. So our ones, our 10, 100, and what do you think this represents? 1,000. So it means 1,000 of these little ones here are going to be fitting in here, right? Good. So those are our place values. So if we want to represent 268, so represent 268 based on the example that we have there. So it means you're going to have 268. Right, you can move the folder so that you can have some room. Great. All right. So you're supposed to have, you can start out with 100, 2 of these, right?
Yeah.
2 of these, 6 of the yellow ones, those represent the tens. And how many of the single ones? 8. Great. So similarly, you can represent 157. So you can have some space. So push up a bit. Don't do away with this one. So push this up a bit. So that's 268. And then down below, you're representing 157. No, another set. Right, take another set. 157. So one at the top and one at the bottom. So where is yours? Where's the first one? 268. So you take a, right, I want you to have them line up, right? So the 268 at the top, the 157 at the bottom, and ensure the color scheme matches the value, right? Okay. Waiting on Tiana a bit. Great. You're doing great. All right. So we have lined up 268 added to 157. Now when we're adding based on the units first. So it means then you're adding the units value. So any value more than 9, what do you do?
Round up.
You
have to round up.
Round up. So if you get a bundle of 10, so when you're adding you get more than 9, it means you're going to have a bundle of 10. So what do you do with a bundle of 10? Okay. Top question. All right, let's go. So this is what you know, right? You have 268, 157, right? Everybody knows this. So what do you say? 8 and 7? 15. But then what do you say?
I'll cross out the 5.
You cross out the 5, but you're not necessarily crossing out the 5, right? So it's not necessarily crossing out the 5 and you put it there. What do you do with a 1?
The 1.
Is it 1 you're putting there? It's not a 1. So what I want you to get is that it's a bundle of 10 that you get from the 1s you're transferring over to the 10. Am I making myself clear? So what you're going to do with your little green here, make a bundle of 10. Make a bundle of 10. Add them up there. Make a bundle of 10. No. How many? You're supposed to have 8 here. Okay, let's get this. 4, 6, 8 here. And 7 here. Right? 2, 4, 6, 1, 7. Good. So from the ones, make a bundle of 10. Just count out 10. Good. So you have a bundle of 10, but remember 10 cannot be in the place value of the units. So what are you going to do with this 10? Transfer it into the tens. Good. So take that 10 over nicely like that. Just scoop it over. Good. So how many ones you have? You see the 5? You saw your number the 5? So the one bundle of 10 goes over into the 10. So how many 10s you have now? Check it out. Count the 10s. Count the yellow. Count all the yellows, and this is a bundle of 10 as well. 6. So this is considered as a yellow. How many you have?
6 of them.
You sure? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this one make
12.
12. So what are you going to do next? Come on.
Put the 12 and then cross up with the 2 and then.
What are you going to do next? Come on. It's right here. So what you say? So you say 6 and 5, 11, and 1 make 12. So what do you do?
And cross up the 2.
And then what do? You say 2 plus 1 plus that 1 gave you 3. So see what's happening here now. So what you're expected to do here is to count off your tens. Come on. 1, 2, oh, come on. Manipulate. So all you're supposed to have is two bundles of yellow there. Because this will have to go over as well. Right? This will have to go over, this remain. And count up your 100. So there's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? So let's put this as a 10. Right? So you gotta transfer this 10 into the red zone, which is your hundreds. Right? So how many hundreds you're seeing now? Come on. My mistake here. 2, 1, 3, I want to make 4. So how many hundreds you're supposed to have now? 400. How are you counting this?
2 and 2 and 5. 425.
425. Can you see that? So this 10 here, you can replace it with one of these. Alright, so replace the yellow with one of these. Right? So one of these. So now you can see what your result is. Okay, I'll stack them up. 425. So you see what's happening. So anytime you get a number which is larger than 9, right? You take it, for example, in the units. So there's your units, your tens, your 100, right? You line up. So each digit is going to be under a particular place value, right? So 7 plus 8 will give us 15. So it's not necessarily you're crossing out of 5. So you have a bundle of 10 within that 15, right? So that bundle of 10, you transfer it to the tens unit. You think you follow? So you have one bundle of 10. So when you add 6 and 5, will give you 11. And the one bundle of the 10 that you brought over will give you 12. Right? 12 bundles of 10. Get the idea? So then, you cannot have a 12 bundle of 10. So it means then you got to do some transference as well. Get the idea? Am I making myself clear? Cool. So with the base 10 system, right? Going back to our slide a bit. Just let me navigate here. Alright, so you see we're representing 157. So one of the 100, 5 of the yellow blocks, right? And 7 of the green ones in our case represent the units. Alright, so you see when we add here, we're going to end up with 15 ones. But we cannot represent ones in terms of 1 and 5. Because the highest digit that you must have under the ones is a 9. Think you follow? The highest digit that you must have under the ones is a 9. So that is why, so you have, so in 15, so when you add them up and you get to 15, there's a one bundle of a 10 in the 15. So it's 10 plus 5. So the one bundle of 10, you transfer over here. Right? So when you add up the 10s now, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right? But you cannot represent the number as 15 ones, 11 tens, and 300. So you need to do some conversions there. All right? Good. Where are we? So the same concept. So in other words, another example of representing this too is that if you get any number larger than 9 and you're dealing with a base 10 system, you can actually divide it by 10 and then you write down the remainder as well. So let me just show you this one as well. So for example, we're using the same value here, 268, 157, right? because we're dealing with a base 10 system. So we know 8 and 7 will give us 15, right? So we can divide. 10 can go into 15 how many times? One time. 1 by 10 is 10. And so your remainder is 5. So that remainder of 5, right? You put it here. We have one bundle of 10. So in your regular classroom, they would tell you to put a 1 there, but you're not necessarily putting a 1. You're actually putting 10, right? Good. So 6 and 5, 11 and 1 is 12. Again, 12 is not a base 10 number. 0 to 9, right? So you divide that by 12. So 10 can go into 12 one time. How much remaining?
2.
You have 2 remaining. So the 2 that remains will stay in the 10. And this one bundle here goes over. Alright? So 2 plus 1 plus 1 will give you 4. Thank you, Val. Great. So that's how we add. Now what happens in subtraction? Let's go out here. Let's check this out. Now let's look here. Let's see if we can get a simple problem. All right. 7 is the 7, take away 59. So I want you to look clearly what is happening. All right? Now, okay. Now, you cannot take 7 from 9. So what you would have to do?
Borrow 1.
The terminology says take, because if you borrow, you have to pay back. So you take 1 from the 10, 1 10. So you remember 10 is going across, right? So you see what happens with the 10. So you're adding the 10 to the 7. So how much it becomes? 17. So now you can take away how much? 9?
9 from 7.
Right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See how much remaining? So you can literally see we have 8 units remaining, right? And then can we take 5 from 6? Yeah. We can definitely take 5 from 6. So we go 1, 2. Oh, we have to line this up before it's 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is our number?
4.
What is our new number? 18. So one bundle of 10 and 8 units. Alright. So let's check another problem. Let's see next problem. Great. So can we take it from 5? So you go to the 10 unit and you borrow. But is there any value in the 10 units? So it means you have to go over to the 100. So we take 1 here. So what's gonna happen? Great. Can we now take from that?
Yeah.
Now we can take 10 from here. Great. So when we take 110 from the 10, how much remains? 9. So you can see very well in the description there, 9 remains. So now we can take the 8. All right. So you see how the base 10 blocks is working on this manipulative online that we have here? It's similar concept. All right. All right. Have you ever seen this subtraction like this before?
No.
But it's the same concept. Good. Can we take 5 from 9 now? Very well. So we can take away 5 here. Line up. 2, 3. So behind the scenes, right, this is what is actually, this is a concept that you more or less do when you're subtracting. Good. So what is our new number?
447.
Great. So you see, so we have, so here the tens, you have 4 tens. You can definitely see it's 4 tens, right? 1, 2, let me, 1, 2, right? So it's 400 here, right? You have 2 tens here, 2, 3, so that's 4 tens, that's 40. And ones, how many ones? 7 ones. Any questions? So behind the scenes, this is how you actually do it, representing the blocks, base 10 blocks, right? So when you're subtracting next time or you're adding next time, right? So it's not that you're not necessarily taking out, crossing out the units. You're actually either dividing